Hi guys.
I'm Jess Bell.
We're back.
We had some audio difficulties on the first time, so we're trying again.
Yep. I'm Carlotta Holder.
I'm Jess Bell.
And we are going to present on how to use Twitter as professional development and collaboration and teach you what a PLN is.
So one of the questions we get a lot when we tell teachers they need a Twitter account is why? Like, what do I need a Twitter account for? So you should tell your teachers that Twitter allows them to interact as like a global educator. It can be used for any amount of time. It can share your ideas. You can find new ideas. You can chat and learn about topics that interest to you. You can connect with people in other places in your field. So I teach in Indianapolis at a large urban high school. We have 4,000 students. We have 200 1 through 4s, and then another 350 5 and 6s and exited kids, and only 3 E&L teachers. So there are a lot of questions and a lot of things that I need to be able to ask people that I don't have access to within my building.
And I work in a charter on the west side at Enlace Academy as the EL coordinator. And I'm teacher, coordinator, coach, everything. But I'm kind of solo. And I know a lot of people in EL positions are solo. Jess isn't necessarily solo. She's got 3 teachers here, and then she's got a district full of people. But they're still limited in the PD that's available to them. As am I. So I'm always looking for how to grow myself as a professional because I don't have people in my building necessarily to grow me in my EL profession. So I turn to Twitter and other people on Twitter that, share EL professional development. And since we're so limited, I think we have like 3 PDs in the state a year. That's really like limited to English language learners. But there's so many more states out there that have them and that put things out there online, and we're able to kind of use what they have to help us develop as English language professionals.
And we're both lucky because we do live in an urban area, so we do have access to a lot of things, but we hear from a lot of teachers who are like, I'm the only EL person in my entire district. And we're just like, oh, you need Twitter.
You need friends.
You need people.
So how do you create a Twitter account? When Jess and I did this, we literally helped people in our presentation set up a Twitter account, which actually took a lot of time. So if you're doing this with your staff members, you're probably going to want to maybe sit down with them or maybe have them do this ahead of time.
Yeah, it can be your pre-work. You could have your IT person come help you too, or somebody that's Twitter savvy in the room. You need some assistance if your staff doesn't know how to use it.
Yeah. We're very tech savvy. So we used to co-teach in a one-to-one. Well, she's still in the one-to-one district, but we used to co-teach in that district. So we've already learned a lot of that. But if you're not a very tech savvy district, this may be something that you're going to need to assist them with. So what they'll do is they'll go to twitter.com and they can do it on an iPhone or Android or even on their computer. And then they're going to click on sign up. They'll enter their full name and email address or phone number and create a password. The phone number is used to identify your identity. So Twitter will send you a text message with an activation code. You'll input that activation code to create your username. And then you'll be live on Twitter.
Yeah, pretty easy. Let's look at Twitter vocabulary. People who, just like any other jargon, right? People who haven't used it before sometimes are intimidated by the vocabulary. So we went over tweet, and we were happy because when we presented this the first time, it was like 3 days after the character count went up
Increased,
to 280
doubled
from 140. So it was like really exciting for us to get to talk about that. But they were new Twitter users, so they were like, okay. But it's fine. We also talked about retweeting and the difference between that and quote tweet. We talked about following and how similar that is to following people on other social media platforms. And we talked about hashtag and how there's no punctuation, but it's very important because it's how you search. It's like your keyword. And so a lot of teachers were more familiar with that keyword search idea. And then we did, of course, talk about what a PLN is and why you need a professional learning network and how awesome it is to be able to have one on Twitter.
All right, so once you've got account set up, who should you begin to follow? Clearly, Jess and I's handles are at the top there. We have Topple ELD. Katie runs EL Chat Book Club. Her and Dan set that up about a year ago. And then Tan and at Miss Salvik, Carol, author of Boosting Achievement. They started Virtue EL 17 last year, and Virtue EL 2018 will come out the following year. Valentina and Emily both write blogs.
Valentina does sketch notes.
Yeah, she has a blog though too.
And awesome sketch notes.
Yeah, she does awesome sketch notes. They both have a blog. Emily herself was an EL learner in school, so she's definitely able to relate to our students. And Valentina, she writes blogs about coaching, about English language learners. So does Larry. Larry has blogs. He has some of us post guest blogs. He has lots of books.
He's awesome.
Lots of free resources on his website, on his blog if you visit it.
And he's not just EL. He has lots of resources for EL teachers. But if you have teachers that aren't EL specific, and they're like, why should I follow any of these people? Well, don't forget to tell them that good practice for EL students is good practice for all students. But also Larry has all kinds of information for other like content areas.
Yes. And then you'll see Andrea and Jana. They, if you're familiar with their names, they're authors, they're EL authors. Jana, the SciOp model, Andrea, anything co-teaching. And they participate in our our Twitter chats. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is our second time doing this, guys, so bear with me. And then Sarah is from, I believe, Confianza, and she does a lot of EL coaching and ELPD. And then Jess found at Languages.
Yeah, we are going to use one of her sketch notes as an exit ticket today, so I asked for permission, and she's pretty awesome too. You should follow her. So next is when you get people that are new to Twitter and they're like, well, I don't know who else to follow besides this list of people. So you could have them pick somebody's profile that they have already started following and then click on their followers to see, who they're interested in following. And they can read the little bio and follow some new people. And then we often get a question, well, how do I get followers? Well, Twitter is an interactive platform, so you have to tweet. So that you can get your message out. And then after people are interested in what you have to say, they'll follow you. But you could also follow a lot of people back, and then they'll follow you. Follow me and I'll follow you back. It happens all the time on Twitter.
And then you guys can compete to see who has the most Twitter followers. Jess is trying very, very hard to catch up with me.
I'm really trying. And she's trying to beat her husband.
I am. I'm trying. I'm so close, guys. I'm so close. Okay, hashtags. There are so many hashtags you can use on Twitter. Just want you to know that it's not limited to this list. We compiled this list based on our profession in English language world. So like hashtag EL Chat Book Club, EdTech, Tech for Ls, Teacher Life, that's clearly for anybody, pretty hilarious. ELs Can, posting pictures of what ELs can do, right? Because we want to show the world their assets. Most of the time they're looked as having deficits, and they do not. They have tons of assets we can use in the classroom. EL Chat Snaps, kind of the same thing. Snaps of what your EL students are doing. And then Virtue EL 17. So as I said, these are specifically for English language learning development. But if you're an ELA teacher or a science teacher or a social studies teacher, there are endless hashtags for your area of expertise as well. There's even like hashtag co-teach chat. There's
EdTech.
There's admin chat.
PBIS. There's anything that really you could. Every little genre has a whole set of chats. Mm-hmm. So not limited to this, but we definitely wanted to get you started with this list. And as you start to use Twitter more, you'll probably add to it yourself. Yeah. So after you've figured out hashtags, and then questions, well, what do I say? Like, what do I tweet about? So you could tweet about questions you'd like to have answered, like you need help with something, or you really want some ideas. You could share something. You could share text. You could share videos, GIFs, photos, Bitmojis, infographics. A lot of people use Twitter for shout outs, like staff shout outs, student shout outs. If you're going to do a PD or you've been to an Austin PD, or even we do a lot of book sharing in our PLN because we use the ELL Chat Book Club, and we like books. So we share a lot of books, like recommendations and things like that.
So here are some examples of some of the things that we've shared out. If you've listened to my podcast with Carol, she's like, why do you share so much? And I share my things because we're so limited in the resources that are available to us, as well as the funding. So, whatever I've done, if that can help somebody else, essentially they're helping their students. And I love that. So I share a lot of my anchor charts online. As you can see, that's the first picture of sharing the wealth. And then we have a book snap. This is one of Jess's book snaps from our recent EL Chat Book Club. We can show you a website where you can learn how to do that. Katie's blog, which is featured on Larry's blog. Her guest blog post is featured on Larry's blog.
You could also just do a Twitter search for hashtag book snaps or vocab snaps, or people are starting to use Snapchat in the classroom because kids are so interested in what they're doing in their free time and they're experts at it. So we want them to engage that expertise with their language acquisition.
And so many times, as teachers, like we have to try what we want what we're trying to teach our students to do. So like we've included like Flipgrid. We started using it before we started having students or our teachers use it. That's the same thing with book snaps. Jess had to start using it in EL Chat Book Club before she could like ask her high schoolers to do it. And then they think it's so cool. They don't think they're doing work, but they are.
They totally are. It's a lot of work.
So it's a win-win for everybody, right? And then the last picture, of course, is sharing your students' work. A lot of times I, as a coach, will look on Twitter for examples of what ELs are doing, because I'll have teachers that say, well, like, oh, they're EL, they can't do this. And I can find a picture on Twitter that can completely prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And so share that so that we have those materials to share with other people and show the world the assets that our English language learners have.
So there are two kinds of Twitter chats that we want to share with our new Twitter users, right? There's weekly chats that, happen on a certain day at a certain time, or even like once a month or whatever their specific short-term chat. So they happen at a specific time, a specific day. And those are nice because you get a lot of real-time interaction, but you're still able to go back and review that later. The disadvantages, it might not be the right time or work for your schedule, or it might be the wrong time zone, or you might have 4 chats happening at the same time. The other kind is a slow chat, and that's what ELL Chat Book Club is. I had to get my Twitter hashtag right. And we do that as kind of a slow chat. So anytime on your own, like there's weekly questions and you can participate on your own schedule. A lot of times though, there are enough users that you get a lot of kind of real-time interaction too if somebody's also posting at the same time you are. And you can still review that later. The disadvantages would be that sometimes it's easier to fall behind on those weekly ones. And there could be no real-time interaction if nobody else is posting at the same time.
Yeah. But again, it kind of depends on what fits your schedule. I know like the weekly EL chats happen at Monday, I believe at 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. 9 o'clock is when my boys go to bed. So if that's not a struggle, then I can get on there. But if it is, then I can't. But I can always go back and I can look at it later, or I see it pop up in my feed the next day.
It's all about the hashtag.
Yeah. And I'm guilty that I'm behind on my slow chat. But I still feel like I'm participating because I can see what like other people are saying. And so I'm like, oh, I have to get to this part, or, I definitely need to finish reading this book because of what I see other followers writing about it and the benefits like of how I could use it. But I think also in our own line of work, I can tell you like one of the reasons I'm behind is because I'm reading Maria's new co-teaching for English language learners book because I'm implementing that at my school right now, right? So who did I say?
Maria.
And Maria is the
Okay.
author of it
Okay.
too. Maria
Okay.
and Andrea. Okay,
All right.
sorry.
Sorry, Maria. Didn't mean to.
But so I'm in the process of implementing that, so I have to get through it. And so sometimes those things, come along, and you fall behind. But I know that I'm still kind of participating because I see I can still like what other people are doing, and it still feels like I'm participating. Pause. Okay. Do we want to pull?
So, in case you missed earlier in the introduction, we're having like how to use Screencastify lesson today. So, forgive us. And this is also, as we said earlier, our second. We had some sound issues with the first recording, so we're gonna stroll right on through because real life happens to real people.
Yeah. So how to Twitter chat. We are going to go over the slide and then we're going to take you over to Twitter and kind of walk you through it. So questions are going to be listed as 1 Q2, or they might not even have a number in front of it. That's usually for the weekly chats don't. But the first number indicates which week of the chat the question is for. And then the Q stands for question, obviously, and the second number indicates the number of the question. So 1Q2 would be week 1, question 2. If you're doing like the weekly chats where they're just during a certain time, it might just say Q1 or Q2. The weeks are used for
slow chat.
The slow chats because they're longer, right? So like week 1, what week are we on? Week 2, etc. And so when you're responding to these questions, you just change the Q to an A because you're answering. So if a participant is answering 1Q2, then they would include 1A2 in their tweet. And then you want to make sure as well that at the end of your answer, which I know is sometimes difficult, but I think now that we have 280 characters, it's a little bit easier to remember to include the hashtag, because we can't find what you've said if the hashtag isn't included in that. And especially for a slow chat, we want to know what you said. If we follow you, we probably know what you're talking about, but if we don't yet, we don't know what you're referring to.
And it might be helpful to show your attendees or whoever you're working with that if they've done a search and they leave the hashtag up in the search, like hashtag #book club, they could just hit the compose button from there and it'll auto-populate the field with that hashtag.
Yeah. And then one last thing. At the bottom of the slide, you'll see that there's a guest post. It says, PD in your PJs, how to navigate EL Chat Book Club on Twitter. Okay, and that is by Katie on Larry's website. So if you want to search for that, there's tons of videos. How to do book snaps, how to do even like Bitmojis, really, like everything. There's videos connected to.
I learned how to Bitmoji just so I could book snap. Yeah, totally.
So all of that information you can find on her guest post.
All right, let's take a look at Twitter.
Yeah. Okay. So we have brought you to Twitter. We want to show you what the questions look like. Click on this. So Katie posts the questions. Pretty much everything that we just went over in the slide, you can always find on her questions.
And it's pinned to her account, which means it always stays there. It's always the top thing on her Twitter page.
And similar to what we also said before, she also includes like, oh, don't forget, like you don't just have to answer these questions. You can post pictures. You can post the book snaps. You can like what you highlighted, your reflections, pretty much anything.
I'm a rule follower, and the first month was really hard for me because I was like, I want to talk about this, but it's not in a question. And they were like, just do it anyway. And I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Hard to believe you as a rule follower. Okay. So she has chapter 6 and chapter 7. So she has, I believe it looks like 2 weeks on here. And each week only has about 3 questions. She never really posts more than 5. She knows that we have full-time jobs as well.
Right now it's busy.
It's almost the end of the semester. Christmas is just around the corner. But you can see that she does have her questions as like 6Q1 is week 6, question 1, etc. So we're going to take you to the EL Chat Book Club feed. So she has the hashtag in her pinned tweet, so we're going to click on that. And then we're going to go to latest. Top would be like the
It's us.
I know.
It's the most recent thing.
Top would be like the EL Chat book clubs that have like gotten the most tweets. Mm-hmm. Latest would be most recent. Mm-hmm. So there's us. Here's Alexandria.
Oh, I was going to tell Alexandria, I love those pens. I use them too. They're awesome.
She's got a little just book snap. This is what she's doing on her. So was this yesterday?
Yeah,
Saturday.
She's working on her book club questions.
Little Saturday PD is what that says.
And you can see she's answered with the Q's. So we want to and that's really common. A lot of people still do that, but you want to try and it's a little less confusing if you use the A's.
Yes. But as Jess said, when people are starting out, I'm guilty. When I started doing these chats, I did the same thing. But we still know what she's referring to because of the format in the beginning, as well as the hashtag at the end. So we get to vote each cycle on EL Chat Book Club. So right now we're voting for the next book. So vote for Talk, Read, Talk, Write. I really want to read that book. And it's thin, so I think it'll be easy. But we get to participate in the decision-making process, I guess, per se, by voting for books. So Katie has, who knows how long her list is, of books, and she, puts a variety of them on there. And if you're a part of the EL Chat Book Club and you want to vote, you get to cast your vote in that book, which sometimes is really exciting when, the books are really close. Sometimes your book doesn't win. I mean, my book didn't win last time.
Sometimes a book is on more than once.
Yes.
For people who are sore losers.
They're always on there. So anyways, and then you also get to vote for when you think we should start the next club, how much time is in between. So also vote for January.
It too.
So here are some Jess is sharing these cards on EL Chat Book Club. Tan's got a book snap, and Diane is the author of the book we're currently reading. So she's also participating, and Katie does such a great job of trying to get the authors to participate in our book clubs, because then you get to ask the source yourself some of the questions that you're having. I don't know anything else where you can really do
interact
something
with
like
the
that.
authors directly. They participate, answer questions.
Unless you go to a book,
right?
What signing or reading or whatever, right? That's the only other thing. But a lot of the authors use Twitter, so it's great. Again, just sharing of resources, promoting the voting.
This is a really kind of the end of the semester is busy. And so a lot of us are like, oh, we want to share this with you. And, oh, we want to share this with you. And not quite as many questions right this second. A lot of questions get answered on Sunday night or Monday. So yeah, it's Sunday morning here while we're recording.
Yeah. Make sure you create a Bitmoji to participate.
That's kind of intimidating in advance. You don't need a Bitmoji right this hot second.
No.
It can wait. But so we just wanted to scroll through a Twitter feed, and we suggest that you scroll through a Twitter feed with your staff or whoever you're working with to help them get started, so that they can see what people share and how does that work and how do you really interact with people. It really helps them get an idea of what it is that you're looking at.
Yeah. I just wanted to show you an example of, using the answering questions. So here we have Jess, of course, 6A3, right? So week 6, answer to question 3. And then also as 6A1 here. And then probably a lot more of hers. Maybe not.
You missed 6A2.
So yeah, scroll through the Twitter feed, like Jess said, with your staff members and kind of show them how to do it. We are going to give you some other suggestions as well.
So this is an awesome sketch note from @Languages that we found when we were working on this presentation. And we actually ran a live Twitter chat for our participants to figure out how to use Twitter. If you don't have that set up right away or you don't have that opportunity, this is a really awesome exit ticket for with ideas about what to tweet about. So you could have people pick 2 or whatever you would like them to do to really get them some ideas and something concrete instead of just send out your first Twitter message. This has some ideas. It's also, it's a great example of a sketch note, which is I'm really envious of people who have awesome sketchnoting abilities. It's really cool. You could also have students use this. If you are a district that allows that kind of technology use, then certainly you could have your students start to use Twitter in the classroom. A lot of my high school students have Twitter, and they tweet a lot. And it's not always about academic things.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Okay, so during our presentation, we did a live chat using hashtag INTESOL 2017. You can follow that chat and you can find kind of an example of the questions that we posted.
Yeah, you can also find links that we shared. I know I shared one of the posts I made during that chat was a list of all of the weekly chats, so when the science chat is, when the social studies chat is, and when the blended learning chat is, when the ed tech chat is. And so that way people who weren't necessarily EL specific would have some ideas of when they could participate in a Twitter chat.
And then we requested ahead of time, we direct messaged our PLN or ELPLN, and we said, hey, we want to be live during this time. Can you participate in this chat with us as well? So that, our participants can get to know you, our participants can follow you. You can give them an example of, what we're trying to basically, teach them to use. So if that's something that you're interested in doing with your staff, send me or Jess a direct message or a tweet and say hey, I'm doing this. Can you arrange for these people or, for you to get on to do this? And we would be more than happy to.
Mm-hmm.
Our RPL would be more than happy to. We're constantly trying to grow it. It's pretty big already, but we just know that there are limited resources out there in relation to English language learners. And we just are really trying to build everybody's toolbox for that.
Yeah, if you need us to hang out in or to Skype in or to participate or just to chat or to, be involved in your Twitter chat, we're more than happy to make that work for you. So like she said, give us a shout out. And here's our contact information. So you can see our emails and our Twitter handles. We both answer email 1 million times a day.
Yeah. And constantly in Twitter.
It's true.
So, whatever you need, we would be willing to help you as you start to teach your staff how to use Twitter for professional development in your school, in your district, whatever that may be.
Right. And just like I tell my kids, when you're learning to shoot free throws, you shoot free throws. And when you're learning to get better at throwing a pass, you throw passes. And when you want to get better at using technology to help your career, you use technology to help your career.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We hope to see you guys on our Yale Chat Book Club's Twitter feed, as well as,
around
just on Twitter.
Yeah, on Twitter, because we're going to follow you when you follow us.
And we want to see what you guys are doing with your students and what you're doing in your classroom.
Give us ideas.
Yeah. Any ideas you have, we'll love to have. So thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks.
Jess and I hope to post some more videos of some of our professional developments in the future. And here's to hoping that this works this time.
Yeah.